lights go out and the race gets underway, and it's a good start there by Simon Walker-Hansel, and he slots into the lead with Leon Morel beside him. Tom Fleming, I notice, also made a pretty good getaway as well in the number 72 car, but he's tucked into third position, and it looks like Alistair Smart, who's the first of the Class A cars, and indeed the Class A Championship leader, he's in fourth position as they head down towards Church Corner here at Anglesey for the first time.
Yeah, that's right, Ian, and through Church itself, there's been a collision, hasn't there, further back, including number 12, Andrew Fido, who's been a multiple Class A race winner this season. There's a car in the middle of on the edge of the circuit. Right, is that Ash Hicklin, who was quick last time out? Didn't qualify so well here, and Ash Hicklin's car still in the middle, or on the edge of the circuit up there at Church Corner. So that's cool. There he is. He's getting out of the car, so surely that's going to mean an interruption.
Yeah, safety car's already, ball's already out, Josh, here on the start line, and so that car will need to be moved from the edge of the circuit. So the yellow flags are waving around the circuit, you can see. So hopefully the drivers will see that and will modify their driving accordingly. At the end of lap 1, it is Simon Walker-Hansel that leads then in car number 4. From in second place, the number 1 car of Leon Morel, and third is number 72, Tom Fleming. But of course these cars now will have to slow down behind the safety car, which has been released from the pit lane exit, and they will need to take good care, Josh, through Church Corner, where the Ash Hicklin car came to a halt after that incident at the third corner. Yeah,
I must say I didn't quite catch that because I was watching out the window as Leon Morel tried to challenge the race leader Simon Walker-Hansel. It didn't come to anything in the end. In the end, he was actually slower through the corner, but obviously a collision further back involving Ash Hicklin, who went really well at Silverstone last time out, where he got 3 second place finishes, including 2 Class B wins, which was the best we've seen Hicklin go all season.
And with just under 15 minutes to go, we're back to green flag running here at Anglesey Circuit. And you can see it's Simon Walker-Hansel leading in the number 4 car from Leon Morel, number 1 in second place, and Tom Fleming in third in number 72 as they head through the banking for the, what are we on, lap 4 of this race. Now a gap back to Alistair Smart in 4th, Julian Griffiths in 5th, and it's Phil Knibb racing the number 92 car this weekend, returning to Bikesports. He's in 6th position.
Yeah, that's right, the leaders come through Church Corner there, really quick cars these. Bikesports and F1000 this weekend will be contesting to be the fastest cars that go to Anglesey all season. And Simon Walker-Hansel there leads from Morel. Fleming in third. He's going to be a non-point scoring driver this weekend, making his debut. Someone that you would have seen regularly on Alpha live streams in the karts, going really well on the podium just earlier this month. Now in this radical SR3, and is able to go with the 2 much more experienced drivers in this type of car. Simon Walker-Hansel, who's won so many different types of races over the years, this year in the Radical for the first time for a full season and leading the championship after 4 overall victories this year. Leon Morel behind him in second place is the reigning champion. He won earlier on this season at Brands Hatch, and they're then turning their way down into the banking behind them. It's the battle for the Class A lead because Alistair Smart is under pressure from Julian Griffiths, who has won, I think, just the once this season within the class. That was last time out at Silverstone. Alistair Smart has took a couple of class wins over the course of the year, but he's certainly under pressure from the similar PR6 here as they go through school, uphill into towards Rocket, where they have to go down the sequential gearbox.
Yeah, they do. They turn their way through Rocket 1 towards Rocket 2, so it's the left and the right hand. It's a very technical, tricky, slower section of the circuit. But this plateau at the top of the hill at this former military base here at Anglesey. And this is an important battle within Class A. There's the car to number 5 just going through shot. He's third in Class A. The other Class A drivers a bit further back, Ian Charles and Andrew Fido, who's one to watch for in the number 12 car, as the leaders are side by side out of our window into turn 1, and there has been a change of lead. Through has gone Leon Morel there. You can see that on screen now. So number 1, the reigning champion Leon Morel, gets through into the lead ahead of number 4, Simon Walker-Hansel. And Walker-Hansel's in trouble, isn't he? He's got a problem with his car because he goes very slowly all of a sudden, and Tom Fleming goes through to second place. So possibly Walker-Hansel was already suffering with a bit of an issue, and that's what allowed Leon Morel to get alongside going into turn 1.
It looks like he's back up to speed now. Not sure if he was struggling for a gear. Not quite sure how that would come. Perhaps in the lower corners. The last lap were really slow in the 1 minute 8. which is over 3 seconds slower than qualifying this morning. So, as you suggested, Simon Walker-Hansel perhaps had an issue towards the end of the lap. That's allowed Liam Morel to get up the inside into turn 1. He made that move work, but then, as you say, it was a problem for Walker-Hansel because he's slow. Tom Fleming, though, doing a really good job. He's going with Leon Morel as they work their way down through the corkscrew in these low geared corners. Now, is Walker-Hansel still there? He is. So he only lost whatever the time there really was at the banking, and then he's back up to speed. He's dropped 3 seconds away. The lap time's still some way away from what we saw this morning in qualifying. Lots of drivers telling me this morning the track is quite slippery, there's not much grip to be had, but perhaps there's even less grip than what there was this morning for qualifying for these drivers. So there's Walker-Hansel in third. Fourth is the first of the Class A cars. That's Alistair Smart. Here's Andrew Fido. Remember, he was involved in the incident on the first lap. He's coming back through the field. He's in 12th position, just behind Stephen Bell.
Yeah, so trying to make up positions is Andrew Fido in the number 12 car. Stephen Bell, experienced racer with the 750 most published ahead of him, who raced for many years in RGB, for example. As they climb up the hill, and Fido is left room on the inside there, and he takes advantage of it, and he goes through to take 11th position away from Stephen Bell. So that was up at Rocket, and they will now filter through the second part of the corner. That's the 117 car of Miles Drew. You can see a little bit further back, just heading through Peel with the Irish Sea in the background. Spectacular views, of course, that we get here at Anglesey Circuit. There is Fido to 11th, dropping down through the corkscrew. So his next target is going to be the white and yellow car you can see on screen now, which is that of number 30, Mark Grayson, in his SR3 RS.
Yeah, that's right. And Fido knows it's important to gain positions because he is contesting the Class A Championship, really, although he is 27 points behind Alistair Smart, but with Smart leading the way, he's fourth at this present time. The Championship really is falling out of any kind of possibility for Andrew Fido here within the Class A Championship. Just behind them is Miles Drew, another of the drivers involved in that lap 1 incident coming through the field. He's just getting alongside the 86 car. Can't quite go through though on the way into Rocket, but has a look up the inside of Stephen Bell. Stephen Bell in Tim Gray Motorsport prepared Radical SR3 at the moment is hanging on in front.
It's interesting, he didn't leave the room there for Miles Drew, he left for Andrew Fido. I noticed on the previous lap. So looks like Stephen Bell trying to drive very defensively to keep Miles Drew behind him. Also as well there is the number 13 car of Ian McDonald in the background. He's done some all-comers type races in this Radical in the past, but first time with Bikesports.
Walker-Hansel's dropped down to 6th. I don't think we've mentioned that. So another slow lap for the championship leader, Simon Walker-Hansel. So these problems persist, and he's losing more positions on this lap, I think I can see out the window. Meanwhile, side by side through turn 1. And still Stephen Bell is batting away here with Miles Drew. Finally Drew makes the move around the outside into the banking, but dramas for the championship leader, Simon Walker-Hansel, losing positions all the time here. Meanwhile, there's a battle for the lead of the race going on because Liam Morel just 0.17 of a second ahead of Thomas Fleming as they work lap 9 of this race. There they are. There
they are on screen now. Yes, Simon Walker-Hansel seems to be okay for straight line speed as Morel is under pressure here from Fleming, who sort of fainted to the inside there through the final element of the corkscrew. The final corner of the lap, of course, it's fashioned after the famous corner at Laguna Seca, though it hasn't actually quite come out like that, but nevertheless, there's a very steep gradient through that sequence. Walker-Hansel has just come through again as he lost more positions. It's yet not updated on our timing screen as yet. Yes, 7th place now behind Philip Brown, as we watch the two leaders make their way through the right-hand kink at School. This is really the only part of the existing circuit that they're on very briefly, or the original circuit that they're on very briefly here on the Anglesey Coastal Circuit, the old 1 mile circuit, which was oriented in the 90 degrees to where the circuit is based now along the coastline.
Interesting situation here for Liam Morel because he's obviously contesting the championship. His main championship rival's dropping down the order, and the car behind him is not contesting for points. Thomas Fleming. However, he's only won one race this year, Leon Morel, so perhaps he would quite like to win another one. So he's got a really interesting situation. Fleming's got a good run down towards turn 1. He looks up the inside. There wasn't quite room for that. He's learning all the time about these quicker, bigger cars on a bigger circuit, what he's used to compared to the karts. But he's putting in a really good showing here. We're still lapping in the 1.7s, which is interesting.
Yes.
So we're, 3 seconds away from Joe Stables' lap record within Class B.
Yes.
So obviously, for whatever reason, the track isn't providing the grip what perhaps it has done in the past, but nevertheless, it's the same for everybody. We're having a cracking race out front between Leon Morel and Thomas Fleming up towards the left-handed rocket hairpin they go. With 6 minutes of the race to go, we're at working lap number 11.
Round the right hand of these two go, and it is Morel who switched to Valor Motorsport midway through the season. He started the season with North Motorsport, but has switched camps and is going well. He's still relatively inexperienced, more experienced than Fleming, of course, but he's not done that many seasons of racing. He was the overall champion last year. That was all decided in a very tense climax at Snetterton last season. But there's a couple of other contenders from another class as well, Joe Stables and Scott Mittal, on that occasion. But here, it's Fleming out front with, Morel out front with Fleming behind him. About 8 seconds clear of Alistair Smart, who in the class battle is about 2 seconds behind or ahead of Julian Griffiths. Meanwhile, Philip Brown and Somewhat Cancel, this is probably a bit of a scrap now over 6th and 7th position. So Somewhat Cancel possibly at least getting some kind of reasonable speed, and he's still there lapping in the 1 minute 8s, 1 minute 9s.
Yeah, that's right. But then again, it's going through the banking where he seems to lose a lot of time. So not sure what's really going on there, but it's a real problem for Simon Walker-Hand, who's going to lose the championship lead in this race, therefore, to Leon Morel, assuming Leon Morel's race continues in the form it's currently going. He turns his way into the corkscrew with 4.5 minutes to go, so we're squeezing potentially another 5 laps of this race. So quick these cars are. 67 seconds is their lap times. In towards turn 1 they go. I don't think they're going to have to worry about lap traffic in this race because the whole field still separated by less than 40 seconds. They go down towards the banking. These two similar Radical SR3s. I think these are the RSX models, the latest Radical from Peterborough in Cambridgeshire. And they work their way through the fast right-hander there at Church Corner. Something through there, Tom Fleming, if we get in some understeer from the aero of the car in front, something he probably wouldn't have experienced before. But they work their way into the hairpin there at Rocket, and then through the right-hander, but staying ahead still is Leon Morel. He looks pretty keen here, Ian, to win the race overall, despite if he finishes first or second, the points don't really make a difference.
No, absolutely right. So watching them come through corkscrew now with 3.5 minutes to go. They're a long way clear of anybody else in this race. Class A is headed by Alistair Smart, still 2 seconds between him and Julian Griffiths. So Alistair Smart looks like he's going to pick up the most points he can from the race. I think that'll be 12 points for the win rather than 15 on this occasion because of the limited number of starters in Class A here today. Class B will get full points because there's 11 starters within that class today, although not all of them actually scoring points, including the man that's looking up the inside for the lead of the race at Church. And has he done it? He's got his nose in front, he's done it! Fleming has gone through. Tom Fleming, therefore, takes the lead of the race with 3 minutes left to go. Up the inside at Church Corner, Leon Morel down to second position. But as we said, Leon Morel is registered for points, and Tom Fleming is not scoring points on this race.
That's right, so Fleming goes through. The former Felton School student in Essex takes the lead of the race ahead of Leon Morel as they work their way up the top end of the circuit, the slower half of the track, where you can gain or lose a lot of lap time despite that case. And a lock up there for Morel. He's going off the road. Has he come through the corner? Well, he didn't really need to do that. He was pushing so hard he stayed on the tarmac. But a real problematic lap there for Leon Morel as he turns his way through with 2, possibly 3 laps to go. I think it'll be 2, won't it, with the lap times we're doing. The gap is 1.5 seconds between them. For third position now, is that gap coming down between Alistair Smart and Julian Griffiths? It's under a second, I think.
Yes, it looks
And Griffiths is just on a PB, almost a full second quicker than Smart. So that's for the Class A lead. Meanwhile, battles further down the order, including Miles Drew, who's working his way back up after that first lap excursion. He's currently 11th, just behind Andrew Gorge, who I think is having quite a good race here. He's had one top 10 this year. He's currently sitting in 10th position again today.
A minute and a half left. Yes, Class A is a little bit closer now, I can say. Just looking out of the window, Julian Griffiths is within about 3/4 of a second now of Alistair Smart. So the Class A Championship leader will be feeling a bit of pressure now. I'll see if I can bring you that in a moment. But this is Gord versus Drew at the moment for 10th and 11th position. This is where you can get a tow. And it looks like Gord is going to take the defensive line, middle of the road, but that then opens up the opportunity on the second part of Rocket if the driver, in this case Miles Drew, can get up the inside. And he tried that and it didn't really work out for him, and he's lost a few car lengths as a result of that. Last lap board has been shown, Josh.
Simon Walker-Hansel out the window is going up the inside and ahead of Philip Brown, which is actually for the second point scorer within the class, because Phil Knibb is another non-point scorer within Class B. So actually this isn't going to work out as badly if here Walker-Hansel can stay ahead of Philip Brown for the points than what it feels like it might have been. So they turn their way here up towards Church Corner.
Meanwhile, our leaders are at the top of the circuit. Tom Fleming it is that is still leading. He is about to head back down towards us at the corkscrew. Here he is for the final time. Checkered flag is made ready, and it's going to be Tom Fleming on his first Bikesports appearance that takes the checkered flag to win. Yes, he's very happy with that. Tom Fleming takes victory in the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship. Leon Morel takes second place in car number 1. And who is going to be third? Well, it is going to be Alistair Smart, number 73, that clings on to third place overall, and importantly, the Class A victory. So 12 points for him. He finishes about 0.8 of a second ahead of number 7, Julian Griffiths. Here's this battle we were watching, though, Josh, right down towards the wire.
Yeah, that's right. Around the outside comes Miles Drew here into the corkscrew. It's going to get very tight. It almost comes to a standstill. It got so tight. Walker-Hansel came home 6th, second of the Class B point scorers, but he got the fastest lap. Therefore, Morel and Walker-Hansel will be equal on points going into the race later on today.
Yes, of course, he got that fastest lap time in the first part of the race before he hit some kind of problems. Perhaps it will be interesting to find out what problems he had. Rest of the field coming through, that's Stephen Bell coming through. He's ahead of Mark Grazer, Ian McDonald and Ian Charleston. They all came over in a bit of a rush together, 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. They were our final finishes.